I'd like to take a moment to talk a little bit about the French Riviera villas that we also offer our patients and a little bit of the story behind it. So, as many of you know, I was raised between California in Los Angeles as well as France in the south of France in Nice. Now, my father is French, my grandma's French, my mom is Californian, so I have had both of those influences growing up. But the story of how these villas came into our life is really a good one. So, my dad is a classically trained pianist, and growing up, he would go to the cabarets and he would play piano all night. This is when he was 18 years old. And something interesting about my dad is that he never drinks alcohol ever. And so one of the funny stories that he used to tell me is that people who would come watch him play, people would come from all over the place to come watch him play, used to always buy him drinks. And so he always kept a plant next to him, similar to this. And he would pretend to take the drink and then just pour the drink into the plant. And so he told me that they would have to get him new plants like every couple of months. So anyways, kind of a funny little story. But my dad would ride his bike from Nice to Beaulieu to Monaco, where the cabarets, where the night venues were. They weren't always cabarets. Sometimes it was a classy piano bar, but in any way, he was young. He was like 18 years old. And so whenever he rode his bike past Aise-sur-Mer, which is a village, a town right between Nice and Monaco, he fell in love with this town called Aise. And he thought, this is going to be such a great place. Eventually, this is where I imagine having my family be. And so what he found out is that there was this home with a woman who didn't have any children. And so she was in her late 50s, early 60s at the time. And she, when you pass away in France, then your property, if you don't have children, will go back to the state. And so what my dad decided to do was to literally walk up to her front door one day, and he knocked on the door and he said to her, listen, I understand that, you don't have children, and I am in love with your home, and I would love for this to be my home one day. So what I'm proposing is that I take ownership of the house, and my promise to you is that you can live here until the day that you die. And he assumed all of the payments too of the home. She just had to pay for her utilities basically for forever. And so this is actually kind of a funny story. So I'll never forget growing up, and, imagine if all you had to do was pay utility bills for your life and you lived in this beautiful villa. Well, she lived so much longer. Every year we'd be like, happy birthday to you, waiting, oh my gosh, another birthday came, she's still going. And so she lived well into her older years. She lived, and she was French, so French people live forever. But finally, the day came where the property was his. And this was a lifelong dream of his, was to create this beautiful property. And it doesn't really exist anymore in Aise. You can't really find a big property like this. So on the property, there are two villas, and one is, they're both luxury villas. They both have infinity pools. They have beautiful gardens, citrus trees. It's the memory of my childhood. Let's just put it that way. There's a bocce ball court. There's a ping pong table. It's just made for, one of the villas is really made for families. Like, it's the one that I always stay at. It's called the Villa Panorama. And then the Villa Paradise is this, it's a Californian more modern, beautiful luxury villa that a lot of pro soccer players stay at. The European, they love that villa. It's really high end and beautiful, and it's my dad's sort of marking achievement in his life. Being a classically trained pianist, clearly that wasn't the most lucrative, but he really worked so hard his whole life to do this. And so now they've been available to rent. There are high seasons and low seasons, but you can rent both properties together, or you can rent them separately. But they are separated by a big wall, so you have privacy either way if you decide to just rent one. but it is walking distance to the ocean. There are tennis courts walking distance away. It's walking distance to the train if you want to take the train to Monaco or over to Nice. It's really just one of the most beautiful, sacred places. It's very pure. It's not busy. It's better for people who really like privacy, and it's very it's pristine. It's just a pristine place. There's an amazing restaurant on the ocean when you just walk down called Anjuna. It's one of my favorite restaurants on the planet because it is right on the water. So even you can even have a table with your feet in the water, and it's great food, but also very elevated but relaxed. So you don't have to be in a coat when you go there or like a long dress, but everybody looks really good. It's more of like the white button up but kind of undone here look, and it's just beautiful. It's where, you know, George Clooney's been there. Bono has a house right in that area, so he's there all the time. So these are beautiful villas that are very sacred to my family and hold a very tremendous place in my heart, and were something that my dad worked his whole life to be able to achieve. So nothing was really handed to him. And I just love that story, so I thought I'd share.